They fished all night and they caught nothing. You see, they fished all night. Don't miss it, don't miss it. They fished all night and they caught nothing. He went back to the familiar, taught him that the familiar, the past, what he knew, will make up for the regret and the feeling that he had. And so he went back to the familiar, and the familiar did not fill that hole. So he felt like a bigger failure. I cannot even fish. He was a fisherman, and he caught nothing. You see, sometimes the devil tries to tell you, oh, this marriage thing that you're trying to live all faithful. Go back to when you were a player. You know, when you were a player. And you go back. And that don't work either. So you fail in this, you go back to what you knew, and you fail in that, so now you're a bigger failure. And you judge yourself even more. Somebody tonight looking at me and saying, he talking the truth. He talking to me. No show of hands, please. You see, but when God calls you, you might fail here, but don't go back. Because you see, he might have called you from something that would have taken your life to something that is giving you life. But because you're going through problems, that don't mean that you need to cut and run. It means that you stick with it. Stick with it. I know. I tell you, my life is a bestseller. When I come up with the book, you won't even know it's me. You stick with it. Because God is testing your faithfulness. All the I love you, Jesus, I love you, Jesus. And Jesus says, really? Let me try it out. And you might feel like a failure like St. Peter. But Jesus did not tell Peter, because he failed, I'm going to take that rock thing away from you. You're not going to start the church no more because you failed me. Jesus forgave Peter. Peter needed to forgive himself. But many of us who feel that we have nothing to show for the life that we're trying to generate here, go back to the familiar. That makes us a bigger failure. And so we feel like a bigger failure. We get involved in some stinking thinking, comparing our life to other people, and then it all goes awry. But you see, sometimes, and you look at the text, but when the morning had now come, Jesus stood on the shore. Yet the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Church, sometimes Jesus shows up in your life and you don't even know that it's Jesus. Jesus showed up in the life of my priest friend. You see, because 15 years ago, when he had started seminary, he was at a bus stop. And while he was waiting for the bus, there was a young man next to him. And the young man had made up his mind when he went home to kill himself. And my friend looked at that boy's face, and that boy looked in so much travail that my friend started to talk to him and heard what the guy wanted to do when he went home. And my friend started to talk to him about the love of Jesus and how Jesus can fill that hole in your soul that only God can fill. That the darkest hour is before the dawn. That God is walking with you in the middle of your darkness. He is the light of the world. cars came and went, buses came and went, as he evangelized that guy 15 years ago on that bus stop bench. Well, eventually he said goodbye to the guy, and he never knew what happened. And a month ago, in the middle of feeling like a failure, he got a phone call in his office. When he was thinking about leaving the priesthood, he got a call in his office. And there was a young man on the phone who said, "Father, I would like to thank you." And the young man went on to tell him that I went to college and I became eventually a doctor, and I am off to Africa to help with those poor people. Thank you for saving my life. And my priest friend said to me, he said, "Dwight, he thought that I saved his life. He just saved mine." You see, when God can't come, he will send somebody. He will send somebody to tell you that you're doing the right thing. Hold on. Keep on. Have patience and wait. Because God is with you. And so the mountain of worries in his head was all knocked down by the one stone that he had touched one life and made his life real. All the feeling that he had nothing to show for it went away, because on the phone was the one example that told him that he had something to show for it. In your own life, you might feel like your children are failing you, or you're going through something in your job. You hold on. God is going to bless you. But you've got to believe it. You've got to expect Jesus to show up in your life. If he can't come, he will send a man. Oh. Tell your neighbor, expect God to show up in your life. Because if he can't come, he'll send somebody. Do you believe that? You see, God requires faithfulness. You give him your best, and God will do the rest. All God requires of us is faithfulness. Success, leave it to God. You just be faithful. You make sure when you stand before God, you tell God, I tried to be faithful to you. It didn't work out as I wanted it to work out, God, but I wish and I hope that it worked out according to how you wanted it to work out. Because we are all thinking here in the physical. We want to see the success of our labors. Scripture says, for some of us, all we have to do in this world is plant the seed. Some of us will never see it grow. The others, all we are called to do is water the seed. Some of us will never see it come to fruition. And then for other people who never even saw the seed or saw the plant, they pick the fruit. That's their call. So for some of you, all you're called to do is give your children faith. You might not see the faith grow into anything in your lifetime, but you do what you're supposed to do. Give them faith. For some of you, you're supposed to water that faith.